What do GLICKED, a heart rate monitor, and signed Christmas copies of my first Rescue Quest book have in common? They're all in this week's book entry. Not in this week's book entry. They're in this week's author diary update. Seriously? So, some exciting news to share in this week's author diary. But before I get to that, in a personal update this week, I have now done GLICKED. I've done them both. I've done Gladiator and I've done Wicked, and they are both incredible. I highly recommend them. Gladiator, I wasn't expecting it to be as good as the first movie, which is one of my favorites. It was really good. I think it continues the story really well. Some of the same characters are in it, and the shoutbacks to the first movie were really poignant. So, the only thing I'd say is if you're squeamish, perhaps don't go and see it, or be ready to go like this, because there are some very bloodthirsty scenes in the movie. Apart from that, it was really good. And Wicked, very similar. I'd seen the stage show with my daughter, and so we went together to watch Wicked, the movie. And again, I wasn't sure whether it would live up to my expectations because the stage show is incredible. But I think it did. Ariana Grande is amazing. Cynthia Evero, oh my God, her voice is wonderful. And actually, Jonathan Bailey, who knew? He played Fiero really, really well. I was a bit disappointed that they've split it into two movies. So there's a part one, which is out now, and part two is coming. I'm not going to spoil it by saying where it stops, but yeah, it was a long movie already, so I understand why they had to split it. But it was a bit of a shame because, you have to wait for that second part. But I can see people I can see maybe them showing them back to back, part one and part two in the future. So yeah, GLICKED was done. It was great. Other news this week, I had a heart rate monitor fitted. It's now gone. It was sitting here for the best part of the week. And the background to that goes back a year actually. So a year ago, I started feeling faint. My heart rate was going through the roof when I wasn't even doing anything. I know now it was going from sort of 50 up to 180, 190, 200 without me moving. And so I went to see my GP and they sent me to a cardiologist, and it turns out that it was caused by something called supraventricular tachycardia, or SVT for short, which I then started taking a drug for. So I've been on that drug, bisoprolol, for a year. And then this summer, I started to feel faint and dizzy all over again. And so this time, my cardiologist decided to take me off bisoprolol because although it did a fantastic job of lowering my heart rate for a year, it seems to be doing too much. So it's working too well, and my blood pressure has been incredibly low and my heart rate has been way too low. And that's why I've been feeling dizzy. So we've stopped that. And so I needed to wear the heart rate monitor again just to check that everything is as it should be. So hopefully we'll get the results of that soon and I can forget about my heart for a while, which will be reassuring. So in this week's book news, I got the new version of Rescue Quest with the amends that you saw me make to the cover. So I'm now really happy that this lines up. It's all in the middle. And on the back, the description is really quite central. I'm really happy with the way it came out, and I've got some copies now all ready to be signed and sent out as Christmas presents for some lucky kids whose grandparents or parents can now buy signed copies through another of this week's updates and something I'm really excited about, which is my new Payhip store. So I took the decision to start offering signed copies online. You can't obviously get them through Amazon. You can buy the ebook and you can buy the paperback book through Amazon. But I know people like to have signed copies and you can personalize them for Christmas. I'll happily write a personal message. So I decided that we would try a pop-up Christmas store, and it was very easy to make actually using payhip.com. So if you have any kind of creative business, if you make things, even digital things, actually you can sell them all on Payhip. There is a fee. You have to pay, obviously, if you the fees for Stripe, for the payments. But it was actually very easy to set up, and I am quite pleased with the way it turned out. So I will share the link in the description below in case you want to check it out. In other news this week, I have now finished all my editors and beta readers edits. They are all integrated into Freedom Quest, which is book 2. I also added a new chapter, or rather I wrote a new chapter, which explained more about one of the side characters' reactions to something that happens in the story. And I do like the chapter, but when I integrated it into the book and did a read through, it doesn't quite fit in the flow. I feel like it slows the pacing down. So I've decided to make that a bonus chapter, which will be available probably on my website. And so once you've got a copy of the book, you can go and read that bonus chapter. A bit like there's the bonus chapter for book 1, Rescue Quest, where you can read about Harazor and when he first meets the antagonist in the story, and kind of a bit of background to why he then makes the decisions that he makes in the story. So I think that'll be kind of fun to have as a bonus for anyone reading the book. So that is where we are with that. I'm now doing a final read through, and I also used a brand new tool which is in beta at the moment. It's part of an editing tool I already use. And what that allowed me to do was basically they're doing a trial of a manuscript analysis tool, which I am almost 100% certain uses ChatGPT or one of the AIs. It's definitely AI driven. And what that gave me, I've printed out all the pages here, is it gave me a really amazing summary of the book. So I've got a summary of the story. I've got the plot outline. It did really well summarizing that. The themes and the motifs, which are friendship and courage, the blurring of reality, redemption and betrayal, which are definitely all themes within the book. There are more themes, I think. It didn't specifically pick up on the bullying, which is the continuation of the bullying story, but it did pick up the main things, friendship and courage being the number 1 theme in the book. It then does the story setting, potential readers, some similar books and similar characters. I love how the report compares Tom to Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. Could you ask for anything more? One of my favorite books. And so it does compare Tom to Bilbo Baggins. And Lev has been compared to Meg Murray from A Wrinkle in Time, which I love. And Anna is quite similar to Hermione Granger. And I know that comparison has been made before with other people that have read the manuscript. But I think whenever you have an intelligent, resourceful girl who is, quite forthright, you're always going to compare her with Hermione because, she is part of the canon now for that kind of character. So that was all great. And then there's quite a few changes that they've suggested. So the way that it's split out is plot and structure issues and character issues, and then it gave me kind of like almost like a red, amber, green. So things that were great, things that I could change, and things that I really need to change. So I'm working through that as well, and just deciding if the things that the report says I absolutely need to change, whether I am actually going to change them. Because you do, at the end of the day, we know our story and we know our books as authors, better than an AI tool. However fantastic it is, you still need to look at the whole book in the round and decide if those changes are going to be the right thing to do. You do not want to affect the pacing, the flow, the characterization that builds up throughout the story. So I'm going through that now. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about who created this beta version of this tool. So I'm not going to mention it just yet, but I will contact them and find out if I can talk about it. And if I can, I will give you a bit more of a review on that when I hear back. So that's where we are with Freedom Quest. I am going to do my very, very best to get Freedom Quest completely finished and uploaded to Kindle Direct Publishing this week, by the end of this week. That is my goal. You can hold me to it. You can hold me accountable for it. I want to get that done this week because it's that time. I need to get it finished. And I guess this is the bit of publishing that I find so frustrating, because it feels like I'm never going to be finished with the editing when all I want to do is get book 2 out there, because people can then buy book 1 and buy book 2, and they'd be great Christmas presents for any 7 to 12-year-old out there who loves gaming or who loves Minecraft and likes adventure stories. And I feel like I'm holding it back. And it's strange because in reality, I am a perfectionist. And so I love editing other people's work, just not my own. And that's why we have people to help us with this. But the thing is, this really is probably the most important part outside of writing the story in the first place, because it's where those rough diamonds get polished up and, all the sand gets sifted out and you end up with what hopefully is a really great story. So I will be finishing all of that this week. And yeah, hopefully next week I will be able to tell you that Freedom Quest is available to purchase. Okay, that's it for this week's author diary entry. If you have any questions at all about writing, editing, or self-publishing, just leave me a comment below and I will reply in a future diary entry. In the meantime, until next time, bye for now.